Let's forget the press conference. We don't draw a line in the sand with Harris and the White House now. What?
You could have gotten yourself fired for that kind of behavior in front of the president. He's not just a boss. He's not your floor manager at Chili's. He is the president of the United States. And whether or not this administration is trading on my popularity is not what matters now. All that matters now are the 3 scared, innocent people sitting in a jail cell in Tehran wondering what the hell their country is doing to help them. Are we clear?
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Travers and this is Popcorn, where we tell you what's happening, what's great out there to see. And the thing you just saw was the scene of Sigourney Weaver in Political Animals. It's on the USA Network. And I very shrewdly, rather than sitting here just talking to you about how good it is, have brought Sigourney Weaver to the show.
Ding!
Look, it's you!
Here I am.
It's you!
Such a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you and to have, you know, that poster right behind you.
Oh my goodness.
Which is intimidating. You have that look, you know?
Do I?
You do. Look at that. It's a look. Can you do that? Can you recreate that for me?
Probably not, because I'm not in my costume. I'm in
you don't need a costume.
my Sigourney Weaver clothes.
You are a fearless actress.
Only smiling.
No. You're
No,
playing the Secretary of State.
Yes, I am.
Who has had a failed run at trying to be president of the United States.
I have.
And who is married to a guy.
Was married.
Was married. She leaves him. Who was the president of the United States. Now, forgive me. This sounds so familiar.
Yes.
It does. So when they offered this to you, did they just come out and say, you're going to basically be playing Hillary Clinton, but we're not going to say that?
Actually, it's a good question. In fact, I'm playing someone whose circumstances are familiar, but in fact, she's not at all like Hillary Clinton. Who knows what Mrs. Clinton is like, except that we all admire her and are grateful to her for the wonderful job she's doing as Secretary of State. But in fact, I think Greg Berlanti, our creator, was inspired by lots of the families who've been in the White House, because he thinks that families who've been in the White House, whether it be the Bushes or the Kennedys or the Roosevelts or the Clintons, that exacts a price from a family, especially with children. And so something happens to the family in the White House, and they finally leave the White House, but they also want to get back in the White House. So these political dynasties, I think Greg feels, are the closest that America has to American royalty. So he was inspired not only by Mrs. Clinton's circumstances, by the idea of a woman who has to leave her old life, sort of shuck it off, you know, like an old shell, and then kind of reemerges as someone who's not running for political office, but someone who's very much very much herself, very much happy with the way things are in her life for the most part. And she has a great deal of strength because she is not chasing power. She's very direct, she's very down to earth, she's very caring about the big picture. And she doesn't play a lot of the games that are played in Washington. So I think that he was inspired by Mrs. Clinton in positive ways, but I never for a second felt I was playing Mrs. Clinton.
Okay, so you didn't call her. You didn't say, Hillary.
Well, we talk every night.
It's me.
No.
Have you ever met her?
I have never met her. I've met President Clinton, but I've never met Mrs. Clinton. I'm, you know, as a New Yorker, I think I'm a big fan of hers because she did a great job for New York State, especially upstate. Really listens. You know, that's the key, I think, to Mrs. Clinton and Elaine, is that women's leadership involves a lot more listening and inclusion and team building. And so I think that Elaine and Hillary would have a lot to talk about.
Well, your Elaine has 3 names too.
Yes,
you know?
Elaine Barish Hammond.
And all the syllables are just scanning for me. Hillary Rodham Clinton doing this. You know,
that's true.
I think you should send her the pilot and ask for notes.
Wow. But what if she gives me notes that then I can't fulfill?
them? That's right. You have to listen to your directors and writers to do this. But did you have a moment's pause? I mean, yes, who you're playing, she's admirable. She's as screwed up as all of us are.
I'm afraid
if
so.
we have families, if we have it, we're just...
That's it in a nutshell.
She's got 2 sons.
Yes, a good one and a bad one.
Well, the bad one is just, he's got the usual troubles in the world. He also happens to be gay.
Yeah.
But she's got to deal with Washington manipulation, and in some of the best scenes. And I have a couple of favorites of mine.
Oh, really?
I hope I probably don't have a clip of them, but where you're being interviewed by a reporter, Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter played by Carla Gugino.
Yes.
And she's got something on you. You know, she's got something on you, and she's saying, I'm going to have to hang with you for a week and ask these questions.
Right, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And there's a nice tension in that.
Record. My office informed me that we were given a choice. Either I let you cover me the week of Douglas's engagement, or you were going to run a piece about my other son Thomas's difficulties with sobriety. An empty threat, except that you managed to obtain a sealed document regarding one night last December.
I did.
You're a newspaper. That's news. And yet you traded it for a week with me. Which brings me to my original question. What are you really after?
Like any good reporter, Madam Secretary, I want the truth.
That's one of the most interesting relationships, I think, the relationship between Susan Berg and Elaine Hammond. She's a member of the press who won a Pulitzer by, denigrating Elaine's husband and marriage, and Elaine for staying with her husband. And in the course of the miniseries, they very warily kind of approach each other and kind of start to confide in each other and even become fond of each other.
Yeah.
So, and you don't really see relationships like that between women certainly in movies, really.
Well, no, because it's better if there's a cat fight or there's just something vicious. That's what it's all based on.
Right.
But in this sense, with your character dealing with the press, you've always had a great relationship with the press, haven't you?
Well,
Except
that's
with me.
nice.
It's
Yes,
always a
I know.
problem.
I can't bear you, but otherwise, no. But I think it's because, touch wood, I work hard like most actors, but I must say I'm so boring. I'm happy to say.
I don't believe that.
I'm so bourgeois. I just like to I like to be a mother, I like to be a wife, I support our little theater, The Flea, and when I can get a wonderful job like this, I take it, and then but I've always admired the press. I always kind of secretly wanted to be a journalist. I think it's a fascinating job to go into the center of things and come back and tell a story. It's not unlike what an actor does, except we have character names. But I mean, what a journalist does at its best, to me, is so important.